The Goldfinch, rated 16. Based on the best-selling book by Donna Tartt, this movie tells the story of Theodore Decker, played by Ansel Elgort from Baby Driver fame, who when at 13 years old is present when his mother gets killed in a bombing at a New York museum. The tragedy changes the course of his life, sending him on a journey of grief, guilt, reinvention and redemption. Through it all, Theodore holds on to one tangible piece of hope from that terrible day. A painting he took from the museum on the immediate backdrop of the blast. A painting of a tiny bird changed to its perch called the Goldfinch. Okay. So this movie is getting slated and ripped to shreds by practically everyone, critics and reviewers. And going in to see this movie, I was well aware of all of that and naturally expecting the worst. Now, this movie isn't perfect, and I can see to a certain degree at least why everyone is moaning about it. But for me at least, the redeeming qualities that this movie has far outweigh the negatives. And I just think that it's a pity and a shame that the slating this movie is getting is deterring a large audience from seeing and then enjoying it. Okay, so the best way to describe this movie is the talented Mr. Ripley, minus the psycho killer, meets Tolkien, a movie from a few months back, sort of ish. And this movie is directed towards and will be appreciated even more so by a mature audience. This movie's length is 2.5 hours long. The first hour and a half is really intriguing and very well told, and it really turns into a coming of age story as we see young Theodore Decker, played by, not so very good I'm afraid, Oakes Figley. The character development of Theodore Decker during the first hour and a half or so is just utterly amazing, as we see him trying to adjust to life after a traumatic experience, and various twists and turns his life takes with the aid of his high school friend Boris, credibly played by Finn Wolfhard, and it moves along nicely and is really intriguing. Then the final hour or so of this movie we see Theodore all grown up, now played by Ansel Elgort from Baby Driver fame, and his acting is so painfully, atrociously, diabolically horrendous it beggars belief. But the last hour or so of this movie is terribly disjointed from the first hour and a half or so. In the latter part of this movie, the character development, which was so exceptionally done up to that point, completely goes out the window, and it becomes very rushed and plot driven. And we're told key points through conversations, like towards the end, without going into spoilers, a major plot is told through a conversation in a restaurant, and that's it. Look, as I said, this movie isn't perfect, but it has got a lot of negatives, but it also has a lot of redeeming positive qualities that totally outweigh the negatives, and is overall an intriguing, enjoyable night out at the flicks. Credible supporting performances in the mix also. Nicole Kidman delivers an amazing method character performance. Sarah Paulson is remarkable, as is Luke Wilson and Jeffrey Wright, 7 out of 10.